Our original home in our time on earth is our body. And to come home to this beautiful body. Yes, our minds are going to judge it. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're too old, you're too that, you're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that. It has a whole bunch of stories, this mind. Mm-hmm. But the intelligence, that life force, that energy, that is love. And we are that.
Welcome to the Zen Den, a podcast designed to help you discover your authentic inner peace. These episodes are intended for everyone, regardless of their background. We explore the question, how can we find inner peace in today's world? Together, let's awaken our higher consciousness and allow our individual truths to shine. It's time to learn how to live in harmony. Your host, Maggie Calder, a former Buddhist nun monk who studied directly with respected spiritual masters, shares her wisdom on the infinite possibilities of life. Now, here's Maggie with today's episode of the Zen Den.
Hello. Welcome. We're doing a really fun, different podcast today where Robin is going to interview myself from an incident that I had, an accident, and it was life after death. So we're going to share that with you today. And thank you, Robin, for being here. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. This is magical, magnificent Maggie. And she says I'm interviewing her today, but really my job here is to listen. I'm going to listen to this amazing story of life and death and life. All right. Maggie, I'm going to turn it over to you right away to start sharing the story. Start maybe with what you were doing and maybe a teeny bit about your background.
Okay. At that time, so in 2018, I had a retreat center. And
where was that?
In Kelowna, Canada. And it was open to anybody to come to learn meditation, healing work, groups, dancing. It was lovely, sharing food together. And from that, I really started to find all the things that I loved. I loved doing the retreat center. I loved playing golf. I love riding motorcycles. And I've been riding motorcycles my whole life since I was a little kid. And my father rode, my brother, my whole family rode.
Yes, but you drove the bikers. You're not like just a biker chick on the back. Right?
No.
Okay, it's important.
No, I raced them. I would race them. I had several bikes of my own, motorcycles, Harley Davidsons. And at that time, I owned an 883 Harley Davidson. And it was orange with the Harley flag on it, the stripes. And I loved it because the one thing about a Sportster Harley is it's top heavy. So you can lean really easy. You can do corners really easy. It being a top heavy bike, it can be a little bit faster, but you have to be more present with it because it's not, when it's lower heavy, you can just sit back and cruise like the bigger Harley bike.
Something about being present with things. As an ex-monk nun, you spent a lot of time with being present, right? Okay, so good. So you got
right. And so this friend invited me to go for a morning ride. It was around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning in 2018. And a sunny, lovely day. And I thought, wow, the roads here are amazing. This would be a great way to start my day. So going for a gorgeous ride and those beautiful open roads, and Kelowna area has gorgeous lakes, like they're emerald colored, very beautiful. And so I'm just cruising, and my friend gives me the signal that he wants to ride ahead and will catch up to me later, which is fine because I was going pretty slow, enjoying the ambience. And as I got around this corner, I was quite surprised when a big deer buck jumped out in the middle of the road, horns and the whole thing, and looked at me, and I'm like, oh, if I hit this thing, it's like hitting a wall. So I knew to skirt around it. And I knew when I would be skirting around the deer, I'd be going off the pavement onto gravel. Gravel would maybe take the bike into fishtail. And being a rider, an experienced rider, I knew when it would go fishtail, I could either ride it through, but if it got a little too crazy, you just kick the bike away from you and you roll into the ditch, and it's fine. You might get a bruise, but that's about it. And so as I curved around the deer, I could see that it was still not moving. So I wanted to make sure I had enough gap around the deer. And that took the bike in a bit of a fishtail that I felt comfortable and felt right to push it away from underneath me and roll into the ditch. And I did. And the ditch had barbed wire and rocks in it. I know. And the barbed wire and rocks just took me on this ping pong journey. I just tossed back and forth over these rocks.
You couldn't see that from the road though, right?
You couldn't see it from the road because these ditches in that area are very deep. They're not shallow ditches. They're quite deep because that is an area of kind of water runs. They really use it. And the barbed wire caught the edge of my helmet and ripped the helmet off of me. But while it ripped the helmet off of me, it also took my chin and cut me all the way from here. So this is all surgery. I'll share a little bit more later.
Okay.
As that happened, it was so much movement. All I remember is hitting one rock, and after that, I don't remember. But the house that was way down the driveway from that ditch thought it was a Mack truck hitting their house or their mailbox or something. And they came out, couldn't see anything, but they saw my motorcycle on the road and they knew something was up. And then they saw me in the ditch. Supposedly, I was face down. The ditch was full of blood. And of course, they phoned the ambulance right away. So the ambulance came, and there were two persons. One said, we'll mark this as her time of death, because when they did test me, I was supposedly dead. And the young man said, let me see if he was learning. Let me see if I can start her heart. So he wanted to, I think it was the older system where you jump the heart. And my heart started.
Okay.
And took me to the hospital. I was in ICU, but I was in a coma for 18 days.
Wow.
There was so much.
So your heart started, but your mind, your brain was offline or something.
Yeah, it was, they call it a brain bleed. So I had a lot of blood in the brain. And when it goes like that, especially if you get a lot of it, you can be disabled. And that was the case when I got to the hospital. The doctors shared with my family that the type of brain injury I had, I will not walk or talk ever again. And they started to train my family how to deal with a family member who was very active and now in a wheelchair and not able to speak. And I was still in the coma when my family were going through this. And 18 days went by where each day the doctors would say she might not make it through the day. She might not make it through the week. So my family didn't even know if I was going to make it through. And
is this something they told you after? Because you're in the coma. So you're learning about the 18 days, about these conversations with your family.
Yes.
Were you hearing that while they were...
At that time, I didn't hear anything because I was in the coma. So these kind of details my sister and brother would tell me afterwards, because they came to the hospital right away to really make sure that they loved me, and they wanted to make sure I was safe, and they started to realize that I wasn't. And so they were going through their stuff of seeing this family member very beat up. I had a big collar on. They were going to amputate this arm. My chin was ripped off. My 2 teeth were gone. I had a big scar on my face here, and my head was quite swollen from the brain bleed. So they're witnessing this with me. I'm not able to move at all. And I'm in the ICU room with several machines around beeping away. And so they were going through their experience of having to deal with that and staying with me and thinking she might die at the end of the week. And I was in another world.
Okay, tell me about this other world you were in. Okay.
So I did not know I had the accident. That whole memory was gone. But what I did notice is all of a sudden I woke up into, it was like a creamy white light, a space that felt very safe and expanded, but very present at the same time. And I could feel other energies around me. Sometimes you go into space, you can feel stuff, and I could feel that. And I didn't even feel like I was questioning anything. I wasn't like, where am I? What is this place? It was like, I belong there and I know the place and it's familiar.
Almost like being home or something.
It was like being home. And I think I looked around and I saw my parents up at the top of the hill. And they were waving me towards them. I don't know how I got from where I was to at the top of the hill, but I was standing beside them.
So your parents were already crossed over then, but...
My parents were already passed on.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow. And by the time I noticed them and I was standing beside them, they were sitting. I was quite moved they passed on around their 80s, around that. But in that image, they were in their 30s.
Wow.
And my dad was dressed, he had dark hair and all like slicked back like they do in the old days. And he had his army uniform on, which was this gray or greenish colored wool outfit. And he looked so handsome. And we used to have this joke of calling him Dapper Dan. And I said, wow, Dad, you look like Dapper Dan. And he slicked back his hair. You know? I'm like, okay. And my mom had these beautiful ringlet hair, gorgeous. She's very tiny. And she looked like 30 in her kilt. We're from Scotland. And just really beautiful. And they were so at peace. And they tapped the ground between them and a signal to come and sit with them. And I sat down with them and it just felt right. Everything was perfect. It was perfect. And we didn't necessarily share words like we're sharing words, but there was a communication there. And it felt complete. I could sense other beings around, but couldn't see them. I could sense other forms around, but couldn't see it. But I could feel it. And I felt perfect. It was perfect. and so peaceful and so and just that there was space for everything. Everything belonged. It was all right, no matter what.
It was all right. All right. Okay. All righty.
And I don't know how much time I spent there, maybe the full 18 days while I was in the coma. I'm not sure.
So it's a timeless thing, right? You
Exactly.
don't know. Time was meaningless during this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I turned to look at my mom, and we used to have a fun joke together when we used to laugh. We would close her eyes and tilt her head back and then open her eyes up and make a funny face or something. So at that point, she looked at me and she went, and being Scottish, she went, "You don't belong here. You go back to where you belong." And I laughed. And when I opened my eyes, I was in the ICU. And it was very dense and dark, heavy feeling. All these beeping machines around me, so all this beeping noises. And I didn't understand where I was. In fact, it was a question, where am I? Where back there, I didn't have to question it at all.
Right.
I questioned it, and they had a 24-hour nurse sit beside me. I'm not sure why, but there was a nurse always beside me. She noticed that my eyes were open. She jumped up, and I saw her grab Mike maybe and call the front desk going, "Her eyes are open, her eyes are open." Now, being a Buddhist, my nature, I thought, wow, maybe I'm an infant in a new body. Wow. I get to start all over.
All righty. And
then I realized I understood what she said. I understood she said, her eyes are open. And in that, I went, oh my, I am in this old, broken body in this older lifetime.
So you noticed the density, and you said it was dark, but there was plenty of light going, but...
Yeah, compared to where I was, even though there was an overhead, in hospitals they have overhead lighting, and this particular room had, behind the nurse, had a floor-to-ceiling window. So I'm sure lots of light came through there. But coming from where I was to where I woke up from was significantly different.
So there was something, the quality of the light was on another plane, so to speak.
Yeah.
The light of being incarnate, you experience while you're kind of in the body is very different from, you had that experience of enlightened in some ways with your parents, right?
Yeah.
It was a very different light.
Exactly.
Okay. And different weight. So it's both light and light versus heavy.
When I was in the world of, I call it creamy white light, there was no restriction at all. And then when I woke up, there was many restrictions. And I was quite surprised. And that's where I thought, this is a foreign place because I don't understand this place. And then understanding her speaking that my eyes are open. Okay, I understood that, but what does that really mean? And then the process started where several nurses came into the room and they started to look at all the machines and look at me, but I couldn't move. This arm was under a huge sling because they were still thinking and amputating it. I had a big collar on and pipes in my mouth and all kinds of stuff around. So I didn't have anything to connect with other than just laying there. And they started the process of whatever that stage is. And I started to realize that I could hear. My eyes could see, but seeing out, I didn't quite understand it because I got so comfortable in the other place that the forms of walls and the beeping machines and the nurses' bodies and that seemed really odd to me. Because in the other space it was just all oneness. And there was a real strong sense of separation.
Okay,
Real strong sense of separation. And I could feel something in me, in my mind, yelling to God to say, I want to go back. What am I doing here? Send me back to that beautiful, peaceful place. And I was quite, almost, if I could feel angry, I think that would have been an anger feeling. And all of a sudden, through my whole body, without, because I was screaming that in my head, send me back, this huge warm energy, like you're slipping into a warm bath or something, just warm energy came through me. Even though I couldn't move, I could feel it calming me. I could hear this very distinctive voice that wasn't my voice. There was a voice sounding in my thoughts or my head, or my feeling was, you are love. Be love. And I'm like, please send me back. And it repeated, you are love. Be.
And even the voice itself was love.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
And from that moment on, some doctors left my file. They made a decision to bring me from Kelowna Hospital to the Vancouver Hospital. So they started to start that file change. But what I thought was most incredible at that time, even though there was a lot of outer action going on around me, inside I began to feel very still. And when I looked at my nurse sitting beside me, I realized I started to see energy circles of the person. It was like little spirals of energy that shaped the form, but I started to lose sight of form. It was just energy. Behind her was this window, and outside of the window was a tree. And when I looked at her, she had these energy forms spinning around her. And when I looked at the tree, had the energy forms. They were so similar. I couldn't tell the difference of which one was the tree and which one was the nurse.
Wow.
They both felt the same to me.
Wow.
And it took me about maybe 3 days to that everything had that energy flow. I still couldn't move or talk or anything like that. But when I opened my eyes, everything was energy. I could see spinning vibrations. And after a time, those spinning vibrations started to take form and become either a body or a chair or the bed or the beeping machine. And I started the process of what I know now is coming back.
But you also started the process of differentiating the various speeds and frequencies and types of energy. So everything still had energy.
Right.
But the form
Yes.
started to differentiate kind of speed and everything of energy. You see what I mean? It's like the frequencies shifted.
And That's excellent. Because when I looked at the chair that was in front of me where people would sit, it was more slower and dense. But when I looked at the human or the tree, there was so much spinning. It was like a live, huge force of energy. And it was a pleasure to be with the tree. It was a pleasure to be with human, because that energy felt like the love. I felt love from both of them.
Yeah, so you are love, okay. And so I think that's interesting that in your world, as you were going through it, the tree and the human actually had very similar energy from maybe the plasticky chair. And I think that's very interesting, because there's this way where we talk about we are of the earth, right? And so when you think about it, trees as we are of the earth. And when we take that time to connect, I particularly love connecting to trees. I just find that there is something so profoundly, I think of them almost like siblings.
Yes. What was interesting, as you're sharing that, what was interesting was if the human was beside me talking and all I saw was this energy, the language of connection was the same with me in that moment as the tree. So I could, if I could say it like that, it's the tree and I had communication together.
Exactly.
And the human and I had communication together. But for me, it wasn't language, because I couldn't speak.
Right. Except that there are all kinds of ways languages that exist, and energy is also its own language.
I couldn't speak and I couldn't move.
But the people who came to visit you, how could you start to differentiate them, and how did you differentiate?
At the during this time with this energy, I couldn't tell the difference at that time, but I could tell the difference with them, that I felt a deeper love for them. So the nurse, or my brother or my sister who would be there, the nurse I had a love for, but the two others that now I know are my brother and sister, I just felt like a deeper, like the same kind of connection I had with my mom and dad when I was in the
Okay. So it's almost as if you could feel the love for and from the nurse as well as your siblings, but there was a qualitative difference, if you will, in the vibration between the love from your siblings and for your siblings compared to the nurse. But you could tell when a nurse or a healthcare provider was really loving versus distracted. I'm just wondering, because I've heard people talk about being in these experiences, and that's part of what you can tell. Like, you can tell the tree from the chair,
right?
And you can tell there's.
What I did notice when, I guess it would be nighttime or something, when the nurses would come in and they would maybe move me around in my bed because I couldn't move or something. Those nurses that physically worked with me, not necessarily the nurse that just sat with me, a little bit, yes, the nurse, but the ones that physically cared for me were like angels. If I could say that, there was a kindness and a love that helped my healing process. It helped energize my healing process.
Wow.
And they didn't share much because I couldn't talk or move. So they were just moving me around to,
Yes, but what you're saying is that but essential information was communicated, which was love. You are love, and their love for you, the embodied you, because they're taking care of your body, not just, and they don't know you, so there's no exchange required. And so it's not like you had biologically shared material, like with your siblings or your parents. So that love is simply there, either by choice, because they love what they're doing, or because that's who they are. They too are love, no?
Yeah, exactly. And it became a point where I started to really start to feel more energy. Like my body, I couldn't feel. I could sense my eyes, and that was it. I could sense my breath because there was something I could feel, but I couldn't feel anything else.
And your head couldn't move or anything?
Oh no, they had big apparatus around.
So what you would see is just by moving your eyes, okay, or whatever. All right.
And then after I had this kind of love, I don't know if it was a week or two, I'm not sure the timing, but I could feel a desire in me to communicate more with them. So I felt a desire, I really want to walk, and I really want to talk. And I don't want to be here in this dense, heavy place without walking and talking, because it seems to be something strong inside of me, yet not a requirement. It was like something of my nature that I could be here not walking and talking and it would be fine.
An energetic desire. It's like you started to broadcast an energetic desire, which is what we do here.
It's crazy. If we really stop and think about everything we do, there's many things that you don't have to do, but there's something moving us inside to act on it.
When you've got the love connection, the communication can happen even when you can't talk. I noticed that my godmother was a quadriplegic for 8 years, actually, after a significant stroke. And she could not talk or whatever. And it was amazing to me that when we were together, we could still communicate. I could even have a telephone conversation with her and understand everything she was saying to me, even though it wasn't with words, right? Because there's something about when you've decided that you're going to open the love channels and you get on the same wavelength, literally, there's communication that can happen that isn't just about words and verbal or even because she couldn't move her arms or legs either. So that expression, it can still happen. So a lot through eyes, by the way.
Yeah.
Eyes as the windows to the soul.
Exactly. And energy, I started to really become aware of how powerful we all are. Energy beings, energetic beings, frequency sounds. We give off frequencies, we receive frequencies, that intuitive knowledge, that intuitive self. And I got to that point where I intuitively knew, oh, there's my older sister. She was spot on taking care of all my logistics. I was listening. I couldn't say or do anything, but she was so impeccable at making sure doctors, everything was communicated clearly and in place. It was so brilliant to have that kind of energy around me. And then my brother, he was more about taking care of my soul, like making sure I had enough oxygen and taking care of me to enjoy the flowers and bring me miso soups when I could eat. And it was incredible. So that process of that love started to really wake that up in me. And even though I couldn't walk, and they were very clear, I could hear doctors in the room telling my sister, just know she'll never walk and talk again. And in some cases, they really wrote me off. And I could hear...
Because they said that you might not even make it through the week or something.
Correct, right? Correct. And my Scottish blood, a little fiery that it is, that Irish Scottish. Yeah. Basically, in my head, even though I couldn't walk and talk, said, I'm walking and talking. I'm going to do everything in my power to walk and talk. And I will, night and day, whenever I'm awake, I'm working on it.
So that's that, in human design, we call it that manifesting generator.
Oh.
Just like, you're not telling me that I can't. Don't tell me I can't.
Interesting. I think I am that.
Yeah, you're managing. Yeah.
Oh, that's my nature.
That's your nature. That's who you are, right?
So I started in Thailand. I lived in Thailand for 11 years. And while I was there, the walking meditation, it takes about 2 hours or more to do this walking meditation. Very slow, lifting an heel, feeling the contracted muscle, feeling the lifting of the leg, things like that. So I'd hold that visualization in my head so intensely and telling that muscle, okay, big muscles, small muscles, even my toe, little tiny muscles, each one of them contract, expand, contract. And I could feel my body after maybe a few days, maybe even a week of doing that I would start sweating. I could feel my skin after that because I didn't feel anything. And at that point, I start to feel skin getting hotter and cooler. And it was only my mind working, telling my muscles, contract, focusing on that muscle to contract, expand, expand, contract, contract. And I'd play with that until it got to a point where, I don't know, maybe a few months went by and they started doing physical therapy and teaching me how to move in my body. They weren't sure that I would be able to walk again, but they were teaching me how to move my upper body, maybe be able to work with the wheelchair and that, till I got to a point where I could say to them, no, I want to walk. And when that journey, sometimes in the walking, would be so painful, I'd pass out. The pain would be so bad. And then I'd wake back up and they would want to have me finish. No, I want to keep walking. So I'd make sure I do 2 steps a day. And eventually the body started to respond.
I mean, in a way, though, it's like that brain and that love can't tell. It was using up a lot of energy. The fire was there. And so you were ready inside. You were walking. So it's like you visualized it before you did it. And the brain can't always tell the difference between a visualizing and an actual, right? You know this now because you work with brains. So that was really good.
Yeah.
So it took you a few months before you started doing just a minor movement and then a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I started to do enough movement that brought either a doctor or nurse or somebody to sign me up to do speech therapy. And this was still all tuned up or all thing. And I had big operation on my jaw. I had no teeth at that time. And this arm was still contained because they were still considering, do we amputate it or what do we do? But in the meantime, I'm learning to walk. And now I'm going to go to speech therapy and learn how to form words.
Okay.
And the combination between the tongue, the jaw movement, the roof of the mouth, what an incredible system, an amazing system that this design is perfect.
You're perfectly designed, Maggie. You are love. And that human design works. I love it.
Great.
It's amazing.
So
perfect.
A voice came back. It took a while. Sometimes my brother would laugh and say, "Are you talking like a New Yorker? Or are you?" Because my voice was trying to find pitch, right? And So that journey went on. And while I was in the Victoria General Hospital, there was a bone doctor there who came to my older sister and said, I love working with bones. Mm-hmm. And could we try the operation? I know we're amputating your arm, but let's try and put in a titanium rod. Mm-hmm. And let's see if it works. If it doesn't, we can always amputate it, right? So my sister said, yeah, 4-hour operation. Mm-hmm. So it was a 4-hour operation. And he was so amazing. When he cut open my arm, instead of cutting my muscles, what a genius man he was. He pulled them out of my body and laid them on the table and took that old bone out and put the rod in and then tucked the muscles back into the body. By not cutting them, gave me
a chance.
A really strong chance. And within a short time, my hand started to move. Wow. And I couldn't believe it. I have my arm back. I don't have the strength or all the other stuff.
But yes, but you can still dance. I've seen you dance.
I love that.
That's why how I met you is in your dance class. Did you have any other, so we've now got head.
Yeah. My jaw, my teeth.
Your teeth.
Yeah, I got
arm.
Yeah.
Any other injuries like to the legs or anything like that?
They were all just scraped up. I had some big gashes on the legs and stuff, but nothing that I can recall was broken.
Okay.
More the upper body, I think, because I had the helmet where the barbed wire hung on and let me ping pong a little bit more. So the upper body got beat up a little bit more.
So the helmet on the one hand probably saved you.
Yeah.
In terms of the severity.
I think so.
But at the same time, it also complicated things a little bit in this situation.
Seatbelts save a lot of people and they can cause complications. It's just that weird moment of however that is. But so I had this great opportunity of having all my arms and legs and talking and walking. And in that, something shifted in me. Something shifted that I realized we are all perfect, all of us.
So that's lesson number 1. Your takeaway number 1 on this is we are all perfect. Okay. Give me 2 more.
We vibrate and hold love from the moment we were conceived and before.
Wow. I love that. So we're energy vibrations. Love vibration.
And love, how do you contain love? You can't contain love. Right. But ultimately, it's this compassion, this courage, this will. This, I don't even know if will is the right word, but it's this just motion of held. And if we can do this with ourselves, our inner child, our self here and now, our adult self, our children, our animals, our nature,
our trees,
just hold it, even in the most complicated time, that the original birth of everything came from the essence of love.
Thank you, Maggie.
I just remember one thing in the hospital where I really recognized that that we were all perfect, but I felt perfect, was when the nurse first came in. They took the tubes out of my mouth and they said that I would be eating. And I said to her, oh, no, I don't. And I didn't even know what eating meant. But I went, oh, no, I'm fine. I don't need anything. I didn't speak this clearly, but basically that's what I said. And she said, oh, no, we have to eat. I'm going to feed you just something simple. And she came with the mashed potato or something, and I saw it on the spoon. And just like a kid, as she got it towards me, I'd be pulling back. And she said, no. I said, we're perfect. We don't need to eat. We're so perfect. And she said, no, we have to eat. And what was interesting, I didn't know that was eating. So I had to, on top of all of this, I had to learn all the things we had to do, like bathe and clean our hair and eat and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know because I really felt all of us and everything is perfect. And when she came closer and I said, no, we're perfect. And she said, please trust me. You'll try a little something to eat. And something in me, because please trust me with this love, I trusted the love and went, yes. And as it came in my mouth, I could start feeling the heat from the potatoes. And then as it landed into my palate, the flavors, even though mashed potatoes aren't much in flavor to my palate, I was just like, wow, this is so amazing. I love eating. I didn't even know what eating was, and now I love it. The same thing happened when they first gave me a shower. They brought me in the wheelchair in this room to shower me, and I'm like, no, I don't know. That looks too weird. I didn't know what a shower was until I went under that warm water, and I'm like, wow, this is heaven.
Wow.
So the relearning of being in this world, it took a little bit of time. I'm still learning. It's only 2018 when it happened.
But I think that's a good thing for us to remember, that these senses that we have, right? Including the sixth sense. Your sixth sense was online the whole time. But these other five senses are just amazing. And there is something about, that's what I'm taking away, this love of being in the body, to notice that our bodies are love made manifest.
Our bodies are our home. So in this lifetime, you can have a home, you can have a car, you can have things, you can have nothing. It doesn't matter. All of us, our original home in our time on earth is our body. And to come home to this beautiful body. Yes, our minds are going to judge it. Oh, you're too old, you're too that, you're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that. It has a whole bunch of stories, this mind. But the intelligence, that life force, that energy,
that
is love. And we are that.
Yes.
So this journey has been amazing to come back to life in this earth. I see it very differently. The only sadness that I have, not the only, but the one sadness that I notice a lot I have, is many humans that I forget how magnificent they are, how magnificent you are. You're magnificent.
Magnificent Maggie. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I hope you enjoyed this conversation and exploration and journey from life through death back to really life.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings.
Thank you for listening to the Zen Den with your host, Maggie Calder. We hope this episode has provided you with a moment of peace in your busy day. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with someone who could use a little love today. To learn more about Maggie's offerings, visit thezenden.world or email us at thezendenworld@gmail.com. You will find us on all the social media platforms too. In kindness from all of us at the Zen Den, be well.
This podcast was made with love from Shikonomi and the global community of podcasters.